Um, how did you want me to introduce you?
You could say Lauren Williams, TV personality and yoga, or some people say TV personality turned yoga and meditation teacher.
Okay,
It's kind of
cool.
a conversation piece.
Yeah.
I like to call myself a former CEO. That got stressful, so
Okay.
turned my life around.
Yeah.
Mindful mom. Got a couple
Okay.
titles.
Mindful mom. I like it. Okay. Well, I will get us rolling. Welcome to the Pillow Talk podcast. I'm Will Beck. I'm your host. And today, joining us on the podcast is Lauren Williams. She's a TV personality turned yoga and meditation teacher. She's a mindful mom and a former CEO. Lauren, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Pillow Talk. I figured the name of the podcast, like you could go two ways. It could be like a after dark podcast, or we could talk about sleep. So
Yeah,
I'm excited.
we're gonna be a little less sex and a little more sleep.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine too. I mean, but it happens all in the same realm. So
we'll go where you want to go. Yep. So
okay, cool.
tell me, how did you sleep last night?
Really well, actually. I had a long drive yesterday, 4-hour drive to Jekyll Island out here. So I had a great sleep. It's right by the water. So me near the water as a Pisces, it all works.
That fits. So tell me, I'm like the least knowledgeable person about all the Pisces, Gemini, whatever talk. Tell me, why do Pisces like water? How does that pencil out?
So the symbol for Pisces is two fish.
Oh, okay.
So obviously, yes,
You're
exactly.
natural.
We are all in this water. Exactly. There you see the symbol, it's like two fish going like this. So that's all Pisces. The water just makes me feel better. And then of course, just hearing the water. And honestly, I think the humidity helps me to sleep better. Like when I'm in Jamaica, where there are no windows and it's just the ocean outside, I sleep the best I've ever slept. So I probably need to get my humidifier going at home.
How often do you go to Jamaica?
Ooh, I've been probably 7 or 8 times in my lifetime.
Uh-huh.
But as an adult, I definitely try to go once a year.
Awesome. Is your family from there, or what is the draw to Jamaica?
No, it was the first place my mom took me outside of the continental US, and I just fell in love with it. I also love the music, so the culture of Jamaica.
The vibe,
And
yeah.
my mom said that, yeah, it's a vibe. My mom said that as a child, she always thought I was going to grow up and like lock my hair and like move to the beach. And me and my husband would like sell coconuts with our 10 kids and no clothes. So I've always been this, like, I've always had this like very hippie vibe about my personality. So I think when I got to Jamaica, it was just kind of like, oh, my people, like they don't worry about being on time. They travel on island time. You can set an appointment in Jamaica and they're like, oh, we said 12. Okay, we'll be on the Zoom call at 12:30. Like they just flow throughout life and they don't take anything too seriously. And honestly, that's kind of been my goal in life.
That's awesome. So what position do you normally sleep in?
So I was a back sleeper until I had my daughter Bailey. And of course, when you're pregnant, you cannot sleep on your back. It's like really bad for you. So I had to learn to be a side and stomach sleeper. So I was side when I was pregnant. And then after the pregnancy was over, I just never went back to back. So I think I'm side stomach at this point in my life.
Okay. And then when you're on your side, are you kind of like a pencil, like straight, or are you like fetal, kind of like cuddled, or?
Full on fetal, like literally my like knees are like up to my nose. The smaller the ball, the better for me.
Yeah. Do you cuddle a pillow? Do you hold anything when you sleep at night?
Again, I did when I was pregnant, and then afterwards I changed and I let it go. I get hot. So even though I do enjoy having that, like, those pregnancy body pillows, I used mine for a couple of months after she was born, but I get hot at night. So the sweating and maybe I should.
Nobody wants to wake up wet,
No,
not comfortable.
It's the worst feeling in the world. Yeah, you got to shower, get back in the bed.
I cuddle a little pillow every night, and I don't know why. It just makes me feel like kind of warm inside. And I didn't used to do it, and I
Yeah.
started doing it, and now I like have to, well, even like just a
Now, my
blanket will help.
therapist does tell me to do it. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say my therapist does tell me to hug a pillow when my nervous system, my sympathetic nervous system is going a little crazy. So it definitely there is a strategy to that, that is actually a thing.
So what was your therapist saying? Just like, hey, that's going to help you have less anxiety or feel supported and loved? What was the?
Absolutely. I apparently our brains do not know the difference between, real life sometimes, or what we like to define as real life, and that experience that's in our minds. We can actually tell our minds. I'm sorry, hold on one second. Alexa is thinking I'm talking to her. um our minds, we can actually tell our minds like, hey, this is, so he again, let me describe it. So it's called the structure. And
Yeah.
so he was like, this is a pillow. He was like, we're going to assign this pillow as your ideal parent. So it's an ideal parent structure. And so I said, pillow, I assign you as my ideal father. And he said, okay, now hug the pillow, because I have a lot of daddy issues, anime issues.
Yeah.
And so, so he was like, hug the pillow. And I hugged the pillow for like 30 minutes, the rest of the session. It did. Yes. It made me feel loved. It made me feel warm. And it was an experience that I cannot obviously give myself in the real life, but I was able to give myself that experience in my mind and a little bit physically as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I definitely have less anxiety around it after doing that a few times.
That's cool. So, daddy issues. That's kind of a big thing. Are you getting over
That's a whole
those? Or?
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really think you get over it. I don't think you get over it. I mean, in terms of sleep as well, it affects my sleep a lot because, when my dad was alive, he passed away when I was 10. But when he was alive, my mom would actually put me in bed with him. I would go to sleep with him, like under his arm, and his beard would be scratching me because he had this itchy beard. And then they would put me in my own bed next to theirs.
Yeah.
So for the first 10 years of my life, I fell asleep with my dad and slept next to my parents in their room. So you can imagine my surprise when I turned 18 and they tried to send me to a dorm with another person who I didn't know. And I had to sleep in my own bed. I was like, what is this? I'd never slept in my own room, honestly,
Really?
until I was literally 18. Yeah. And then even after that, I went, like when I moved back home after college, I still slept with my mom. And I was like 25. It wasn't until I was like, until obviously I had Bailey, I had to like grow up and stop sleeping with my mom. But yeah, sleep for me is definitely, I have some sleep issues and some daddy issues. And now I can finally guess, as a 34-year-old woman, I can sleep by myself, but it's not comfortable. I do have lots of anxieties around sleeping by myself. And it's because I started the first 10 years of my life sleeping with my parents.
Yeah. So your daddy issues, is that just around your dad passing away and like missing him then? And that was like a big.
A little bit, it's a little bit of both. So he wasn't the most like affectionate man,
Yeah.
a lot of people have those dads, so he wasn't the most affectionate man. So there were some things I didn't get while he was alive. And he was also sick and dying for like 5 years of my life, 5 years of the 10. So of course, he had reasons not to have his mind on other things. But yeah, there's just those issues, feeling like I never got enough love. And then when he passed away, it was like, now I'm really not going to get enough love. And of course, it presents in relationships, it presents in my friendships, it presents in any relationship that has to do with man and woman, honestly. I mean, it just affects a lot of your life. I'm actually reading this book called The Fatherless Daughter Project, hoping that, I can connect with some more fatherless daughters and kind of look into why we end up with anxious attachment systems and things like that, and see how we can overcome it.
What have you learned from that book?
So I'm only on the first chapter, and the first chapter right now is just kind of relatability. It's just telling other people's stories. So it's just like, you're not alone. Like the first chapter and a half is like, you're not alone. There are other women who, can't stay in a marriage, can't stay in a relationship, end up very clingy, end up very avoidant. I mean, it can present in people completely differently. For me, it presents as anxious attachment. I think everybody's going to leave me. I think, you know what I mean? Like, and it's completely irrational. But the first chapter of the book is just kind of saying, hey, this is Sarah. She lost her dad because he left. This is, and the different ways that dad leaves and how that affects the women in different ways as well. Because mine passed away, but Sarah's dad just walked out. So Sarah's got a whole different sort of issues than me.
There's a book called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters that I read, and I have two daughters.
Mm.
I have a 14-year-old and 10-year-old daughter, and
Uh,
there was a lot that was in there. It was just like how much daughters look to their dads for like love and acceptance, you know, and if they don't
yeah.
get that from
Yeah.
them, then they start to look elsewhere, and that is like a really unhealthy thing. You know, they're looking for approval from teenage boys, which, you know, that not the
The wrong direction.
yeah.
Absolutely. I did the same thing. I did that.
And then it also talked about like how daughters want boundaries. They want somebody to be like, you can do this, you can't do this, like, and like teach them
Mhm.
what life is like. And they might kind of act a little bit like they don't, but like they do like to have that structure in their life, you know. And I can't remember everything from
Absolutely.
that book, but like one of the things I left with is like, as a dad, I have such a responsibility here to like make my daughters feel that they're special and that,
Yeah.
you know, I love them and they feel safe so that they can make
Yes.
decisions from a place of safety rather than like doubt and insecurity, you know.
Absolutely. Exactly. You've got a really important role. And it sounds like, I mean, the fact that you're even reading that book sounds like you're doing a good job. I think caring is honestly 90% of the job.
I hear people talk about their dads and they're like, my dad is the worst and all this. I'm like, I can't ever have my daughter say that about me. So,
You're like,
uh,
let me do what I can so that they don't have a podcast called Daddy Issues together. No,
uh,
we're not gonna, you're gonna read the book, you're being a great dad, you got this.
yeah, exactly. So what are some things that you do to like, what does your routine look like before you go to bed?
So that is probably half of the issue. I don't have much of a routine. Bailey has a routine. So of
Mhm.
course, read her the book, feed her dinner, read her the book. If it's a bad thing, give her a bath, get her pajamas on, get her in the bed.
Mhm.
So my routine technically is hers. But even after that, I have another hour of kind of winding myself down. And it can be anywhere from watching mindless TV to reading 3 pages of a book and getting sleepy and passing out. I was taking melatonin actually a couple months ago, so melatonin was my was my sleep routine for a
Yeah.
minute there. Yeah, and then I was like, let me. They say it's not dependent, but I was a little afraid. You couldn't get dependent on it, but I was a little afraid of it, so I stopped doing that. And like I said, I started bringing in the books and trying to cut out the TV as much right before I go to sleep. Because
Mhm.
for me to get a good night's sleep, one, it has to be early enough because I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. And also I have to ease into it. Not that passing out doesn't
Not
give me a
force
good
yourself to
quality of
sleep,
sleep.
but gradually happen. Yep.
No. Yep. And there's some apps actually. I can't think, sleep tracker, probably something easy like that. I had a sleep tracker for a couple of months and it was recording when I would go to sleep because obviously I would get quiet. So as soon as I would get quiet, it would say, all right, she's asleep.
Mhm.
And then when I would start rustling in the morning and waking up, it would record that as me waking up. And so it would record me all night. It was recording my sleeping, my sleep talking, my dog coming in and waking me up. And I realized how many disturbances I have during a night. And this was maybe a year or two ago. And after I did that for a couple of months, I kicked my daughter out of my bed immediately
Yeah.
because she woke me up so much during the night. I was like, that's why I'm tired and grumpy and can't get my mind to a place of clarity, even though I'm meditating every morning, because she was, I mean, literally, it was like, mommy, can I pee? Mommy, can some water? Then the dog would come in and like, mommy, the dog's on top of me. It was all types of stuff. And I
Yeah.
would go back and listen to those recordings. And that gave me a lot of clarity into like, no, get them out of your bedroom, get your own sleep, and then come back to them when you wake up.
Yeah. I've got a
Self-care.
pretty strong rule of like the no kids in the bed thing. And some parents are a little softer on it, but I am not
Mhm.
a soft pushover dad. I'm like, nope, I need my space, man. We need some dad
Yeah.
and mom time. We can't.
Yeah. No, a healthy dad, healthy parents, healthy parents having a healthy relationship is key. I mean, without that, I mean, kids have great lives. Their parents get divorced and they end up on drugs. So,
Yeah.
you guys making sure putting your relationship first and putting your me time first is actually the best
Yeah.
thing
It's
you
like,
can
hey,
do.
this is better for you if you're not here right now. Like you'll appreciate it in
If
the
you
long
go
run
away.
when we still have Christmases together.
Exactly, right, exactly.
Yep.
You'll still have your college fund. We won't have spent it on an attorney. So I'm
Yep.
helping you out here, son, daughter.
Um, so are there any little like tips or tricks that you have for sleeping better, things that you do that like, hey, this really helps me to get to sleep or? or stay asleep?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Reading. So I don't know if that works for everyone. I mean, not a stimulating book, obviously. I read like Michael Singer and, boring books like that.
No Harry Potter.
But yeah, just no Harry Potter. Yeah, it's a little stimulating. None
Get
of those
me
like
all up and at 'em. Yeah.
yeah, or the books with like the man and the woman on the front, like the passion and the wind blowing in their hair. Like that's not gonna get you to sleep, lady. So I realized that the books that I have to read have to be a little boring. I was reading a book on polyvagal, theory. So that was pretty boring and, things like that. So for me, books help out. I love white noise. I started it when I had my daughter and I can't stop. I will put on my white noise, at any time. I recently just bought I wanted to start doing yoga nidra. So I bought one of those, what is it? It's like a headband that has headphones in it.
Oh yeah.
So that you're not laying on your ears and it's uncomfortable. They're very flat, soft earphones. And so I just bought one on Amazon. I haven't used it yet, but I really want to start using it and, playing my yoga nidra throughout the night, doing some energy work on myself while I'm asleep. So I'll suggest it, even though I haven't tried it, because so many people have come to me saying that I should try that.
So I've been doing the funniest thing. And it's just like something I noticed with the pillow cube is that like it keeps sound out. Like if I put my phone under the pillow cube, people can't really hear my phone in the room. But when I put my head on the foam, it's like I have a headphone in. Like I can hear it so clear.
Oh, what?
So what I do,
tried that with my pillow cube.
I put my phone under my pillow cube and then I like put on my sleep timer. So it'll go for like 10 minutes. And then I put a podcast on, just something to like kind of like slow my mind down a little bit. And I listen to it and I am out in a couple of minutes. My phone turns off, but my wife can't even hear it because it's under the pillow cube, but I can hear it perfectly. It's like the best of both worlds. So it's a really weird, like not designed part of the use case, but yeah, it's been working.
Add that to the marketing. It's actually amazing. Yes, no, that's awesome. I love my pillow cube. My neck hurts if I don't sleep on it. Like regular pillows still like, they don't like support my neck. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You could probably explain it better, but
yeah. Well, I feel like most of the time when you like sleep on a regular pillow, you sleep on it on your head. You know what I mean? But like the pillow really needs to cut in at the base of the neck to like keep your neck. Otherwise your neck like fills that space and you just crick and then you wake up that next day and you got problems.
Oh yeah. As soon as I turn 30.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yoga nidra. What is that? I am not as familiar.
Yeah, so I'm new to actually teaching it. It wasn't taught in my 200 hour. They touched on it, but it wasn't taught it. I'm taking a 300 hour now. So I'm going to be certified in it. I'm very excited. But yeah, yoga nidra is that yoga that I think most people hear about yoga nidra before they even hear about meditation, honestly. It's so widespread. You can find it on YouTube, Insight Timer. It's everywhere. And it's those really calming voices that you hear and they just kind of lull you to sleep. And, a lot of yoga nidra practices that I find will do energy work on you. So when we talk about energy work, we're talking about our chakras and we're talking about aligning them because you've got chakras all over your body, honestly. But the 7 main ones that we work with are right down the middle. And so, they will be using, whether it's sound baths, whether it's sound healing, or they're using their words to allow you to visualize things. Because I guess the theory with yoga nidra is that even if you are asleep, you can still receive these messages, you can receive this healing. And it also lulls you to sleep. So some yoga nidras will, like I went to a class recently and it was right before bed. So of course she wasn't talking once we got home and went to sleep, but it sort of stays with you and it just calms you down, just kind of puts you in a space where it's like, all right, now I can go to sleep. It's kind of like how I use white noise.
So with the yoga nidra, you're just listening to something. You're not like getting in different positions and doing like stretching or any of that. You're just meditating or or are you, is there a physical aspect to it as well? Or
yeah, so the ones that I practice, no, there's no physical aspect to it. It is a sound, it's in your ear. And now I have seen classes where they are all laying together and they do movements as well. But the ones I'm more familiar with, they're on my phone, they're on YouTube. And I just lay there and I close my eyes. And it actually seems easier than meditation because with meditation, we've got one pointedness with meditation. We're trying to focus on whether it's our breath or, whatever it is, until we get to the point of enlightenment where we just can focus on the present moment without effort. But there is effort in meditation. Whereas with Yoga Nidra, it's one of those things where you go to honestly relax and to completely surrender to what you're hearing and what's in your mind and what's in your ear, instead of trying to control it or trying to focus it.
Mm-hmm. So, I have an interesting sleep thing I've been doing, and I've just been trying to not drink any water for like 2 hours before bed.
Okay.
People always talk about, oh, drinking water is really healthy, but
Yeah.
I wake up at like 4 a.m. I have to go pee all the time. Yeah. And then the no water thing has been like game changing. I can actually sleep until like 6:30, and I'm like, hey, I did it.
Right. Yeah, because every time you wake up, you start over is the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
With
You're
sleep.
up.
Yeah, you're starting all the way over, and you've got to go back into REM and like go back into that restorative space. So
Well, I feel like
that's
if you
actually a
wake
good
up
idea. I actually never drink water.
Oh, do you not? You just Diet Coke or what?
No, I just don't drink it all. I'm a horrible liquids person. Like I literally have to like drink the water, Lauren, and then I'll drink the water. I have to be very intentional about it because I will forget to drink.
Is it a flavor thing or just like you don't like drinking?
I don't think about it. I think I just get into my day and I'm just moving. I don't get thirsty. I don't just naturally get thirsty now.
So you just don't have water on you too, probably, huh?
I do have it on me. I will literally be like, here's my bottle for the day that I'm gonna drink. And then it's still a bottle full of water at the end of the day that I didn't drink. I even have it by my nightstand as well. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm working on it though, because I know I'm getting older and like skin is gonna start to like,
I'm all concerned about your water
But
habits.
yes, I get a full night's sleep. I know, but I get a full night's sleep though. So which one of us is?
No, sleep matters. Sleep's a big deal. No.
Yeah.
What does your daily life look like? Like, what are you doing right now? Like,
Oh, my daily life is actually really free right now. About a year and a half ago, I was running a hair company. I'd owned it for 8 years with my sister, and it was great. It was stressful. We hit our $1 million point and then just kept going, and we were really excited. It was a big company. We were doing well, but it just wasn't my thing. I could talk all day about that.
What do you mean
it just wasn't my thing?
You were
it wasn't
stressed out
resonating
by
with
it?
me.
Uh-huh.
Not even. Yeah, not even. I couldn't even say that, oh, it was so stressful that I had to leave. It honestly just wasn't my thing. I really just, it didn't resonate with me. Yeah, I didn't love it. Yeah. And I know you don't have to love your jobs because I obviously work a job to take care of my child. So, I get that the job should have a purpose, but I just really wanted to love something. And of course I'm a millennial. So I'm like, I should love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was one of those people, and I was like, you know what, I'm in a financial position where I can leave right now. Let me leave. And I did just that. I left, and I took a year pretty much off to focus on studying yoga and meditation, to practice it, to study it, and to just take time to kind of figure out where my mind was and just become aware of what was going on in my life and in my mind. And that after that year, I went into kind of creation mode. So right now I'm in this creation mode. I am building out my platform for me to teach yoga and meditation on, whether it's Patreon or, screens or whatever it is, whatever platform I'm going to use. And then I want to build out classes because I teach workshops and I love teaching workshops. So I've got to build out my workshops. I've got to film them. I've got to, make sure that I'm nurturing my social media following, which is hard for me because I'm so big on being authentic that it's hard for me to say, oh, I'm going to make this one day and then post it later. I'm like, no, I feel it now. I'm going to post it now. Everyone's like, this is not the best time to post. I'm like, yeah, but I feel it now. So I'm having to be, strategic and intentional about this marketing thing because I know how to do it for the company, but for myself, I always wanted me to stay very organic. So now that I am the product, I'm having to be okay with me being a little less organic and authentic and more strategic and looking at myself as a business. So I wake up every morning and I do whatever the heck I have to do. So honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't have like a full schedule. Again, Pisces. So I have a book. Like I'll actually show you my to-do list. So I have to-do lists, and depending on I don't know if you can see my crappy writing.
I can see it.
But depending on what I want to get, like these are pretty much goals. So I don't map it out. I don't say log into Shopify, do this. I just say Shopify, GoDaddy, PayPal, Facebook, MailChimp, logo, newsletter, podcast, permission slip. So these are some ideas. These are some things that need to get done. And I just say, all right, hour on Shopify, whatever the heck needs to be done for Shopify, I'm going to do it for that hour. And I've just tried to use time blocking, which I learned from The One Thing, the book, The One Thing, which is an amazing book, because you cannot be in the present moment if you're in the past moment because you didn't do what you did in the past. You can't be in the present moment if you're in the future because you didn't do what you did in the past and now you're worried about what it's going to affect in the future. So The One Thing is just a good book. I don't even think it talks about mindfulness in the book that much, but it's actually a mindfulness book because it teaches you to do one thing at a time and to stay in the present moment with that one task.
Yeah, if you're focusing on one thing, you're like so much more efficient. And a lot of times when I don't have a to-do list, I'm like, oh, I got to remember to do this. And then I remember something like, oh, let me go do that right now. And then I go do something else. And I'm like, I've got 3 jobs that are like half done. I just need to write them all down.
Don't
check
check
one off the
it.
list. Check it off
It's
the list.
over.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are some of the
That's
things
it.
that you've learned during your year of study of kind of mindfulness and yoga and that kind of stuff? Like, how has that changed you?
Oh, goodness. So many ways. I'm less reactive. I'm definitely less reactive. I do not react to things as explosively as I did. That was the first thing I think my mom noticed. I am more compassionate. So, when I see other people being reactive or acting out or doing something that I don't think is right, or I don't think it's good for them, I can just kind of, see it with compassion. I can feel sorry for them. Of course, I can have sympathy. I try not to have too much empathy because I don't want to pull from myself, just to relate to what they're doing, but I can have sympathy for them. And on the other side of that, I think I have learned to let go of control. I wanted to control a lot of things in life. I wanted to control everything. Honestly, I'm not going to say some things. I wanted to control everything. I want everything to be the way I wanted it to be. And, however I was going to do it, I was going to figure that out. And now I just kind of let things go. So, when I'm in an uncomfortable moment, whether it's physically uncomfortable or whether it's a relationship and I'm uncomfortable, emotionally, I would normally be like, all right, how am I going to fix it? What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, I need to say this. Oh no, I need to post this negative, toxic post on Instagram. So he'll see this and then he'll feel bad for what he did to me, like doing all that stuff. Now I'm just like, I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to breathe. And, will it fix the problem, me breathing? Maybe not, but sometimes I've literally just kind of breathed through situations and it did fix the problem because the problem was not mine to fix, and I just let go of that control through meditation. And just, at the end of the day, like Michael Singer said in Untethered Soul, he's like, if you feel like your problems are huge, go outside, look up in the sky, and remember that you are on a spinning crumb of dirt in the middle of this universe that is 10 times, 1,000 billion trillion times bigger than you and bigger than your earth that you think is so important and so big, and your sun that you think is so big. Your sun is actually really small compared to most stars, So, when you put it into perspective and things like that, you're like, wow, like my problems aren't that big and I can't do anything about most of them anyways. So the best thing for me to do is just breathe and stay alive.
Yeah, I think sometimes we always have this illusion of, oh, I'm in control of my own destiny. And I think there's some truth in that. Like, hey, when you work hard and when you put in a lot of effort into things, you can change things for sure. But it's like, at the same point, there's just some stuff that you have no control over. And you just gotta relax and just be like,
we
hey,
don't get to decide.
I can choose to be happy regardless of the circumstance that's coming my way. It's like I can just accept it and say, hey, I'm going to be happy, and like people a lot of times don't realize that happiness is a choice. But
Absolutely.
One of the things you mentioned is that you're less reactive now. Were you pretty reactive before? Were you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Circling back around to that, and what you were saying, you try to be a really present father, give your girls the love that they deserve, because you don't want them going to look for that in a teenage boy. I was that girl. I was looking for it in teenage boys, my friends, teenage girls, whoever it was. And of course I wasn't getting it. They didn't even know how to give it, even if they wanted to give it to me. And I was very reactive. I mean, I wanted everybody to love me and like me. And when they didn't, I would like freak out and I would go cry and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed because nobody likes me. And so I was reacting to what other people were doing. And I was also reactive in the way that, if my boyfriend, I don't know, went out and my friends were like, hey, so he's over here talking to this girl, I was going to get in the car. I was going to drive to the club and we're going to fight. And it's like, what? I think about that now. I'm like, what, girl, did that really matter that much? But it just, like, my pride, it was very ego based. I was very much in my ego and my ego was reacting.
Yeah.
And so,
Is that a
yeah, I
true
was very
story?
reactive. Oh,
That you
that's
just
like that's like 4 true stories, or maybe 5.
Okay. So like,
Maybe
your
6.
boyfriend's at a club, you go and you're like, hey, let's go. Let's fight. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm like, no, I'm like, let's go. And when they say no, I'm like, oh, really? And then the first day I'm like, I was gonna like grab something or like, I don't know. I don't even remember what I was doing. I mean, I would blame it on alcohol, but half the time I was sober. So I'm not even gonna blame that. I'm going to blame it on my ego and my reactivity.
Well, I
And I
think
would just
anger is
flip
a
out. And I just
drug.
felt disrespected.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
And it's like you feel that anger and then you kind of lose control of your body, and anger is kind of a choice too, because you can like succumb to it and be like, hey, I'm going to indulge on that.
Exactly.
And we all get
Exactly.
angry. I get angry and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I was so dumb when I was angry. I make
Yeah.
my worst decisions in life, the things that I regret. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? And then you have to say sorry. You're like,
Right. And so it's like, even if you have a good reason to be angry, even if the other person was completely wrong, you being angry doesn't serve you. So if
mhm,
we're doing this self-love, self-care, if we're focusing on ourselves, and being angry at this person for doing something wrong doesn't hurt them, it hurts me. Like you said, because now I'm reacting in a completely reactive way and I'm adapting to the situation instead of staying centered in who I am.
mhm.
And I can only do that by sitting here and doing nothing, doing absolutely nothing, just breathing. And I like to think of our emotions. I mean, they are not who we are. You are not what you think. So I like to say, okay, well, with our emotions, when they come up, if I'm meditating and I'm like, my boyfriend didn't call me back in 20 minutes. I wonder what he's doing. I like to think of it as a balloon. I let it float up. There's the thought. Okay. I literally take the string and I let go. And I literally like visualize myself letting go of a balloon string.
Mhm.
Because if I'm about to get angry or I'm about to attach to that anger, like you said, I gotta let it go. I'm like, all right, let go of that balloon. Then breathe out. I'm like me releasing it. And that's kind of how I get through my angry moments nowadays without
So
fighting.
you mentioned before that, and I love that. Like that is a great way to just kind of like let it leave your body in a visual way. Um, One of the things you were talking about is how you were looking for that kind of love and that like self-worth from like other people. Have you found that now? Do you feel this need to continue to look for that externally, or where are you on that process?
So I am well into the process of giving it to myself so that I don't go looking for it
Yeah.
externally, because the need to look for it externally is actually a human trait. So I'm never going, I may have had, I think probably a propensity to do it more than even in balancing myself out, I still do it. I mean, humans, like we want to love and want to be loved. That's who we are. That's what we are. But I definitely feel like I'll say 70% through on the journey of giving it to myself so much that I don't look for it externally as much. And even if I'm not out looking for it externally, if I have it and lose it, it's not that devastating to me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be like, oh my God, me and my boyfriend are fighting. I'm gonna like pass out. I can't live anymore. Like, it's so dramatic, teenager 20s, like so dramatic. And now, like, I mean, if he leaves me, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm not gonna be happy. I'm gonna yell probably if I get very angry. But at the end of
But
the
you're
day,
not going
like,
to burn his
I
house
still have
down.
me. Probably not, no, because we live in the same house.
Okay.
It's my house too, so no, not burning my stuff down. But even if, but see, that's the thing about the spiritual journey and the journey of like getting back to yourself. Even if I have the thought when he makes me mad, I'm gonna burn down his house. It's not that I just shouldn't have that thought, because at the end of the day, like we're humans, we're gonna have crazy thoughts. You have that thought and you let it go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you honestly don't act on it. and it's about letting it go. And it's about continuing to practice letting it go. So will I have that thought if we get in a big enough fight? Maybe. Am I going to do it? No. And that's really the difference. And that's what this journey is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking when you were talking, like, where do I find that, like, that need to be loved? Where is that, like, where is that satisfied? And, I'm married, I've been married for like 17 years. And like, that is a huge thing, like having a partner that is like 100% there for you, that you can feel vulnerable with. And you're like, hey, I know that person like loves and supports me. That like satisfies a lot of that need,
Absolutely.
But like, I also feel like with God too, like that is something that I think a lot of people turn to, where it's like, hey, if I look to a higher power, then I can feel like, hey, I am important to him. He's my creator, like,
yes.
And then my own parents,
Yes.
like we do all need all of that.
Yeah, I know. Like, I love my mom. My mom's the best. Yeah, I feel bad for people that don't have great relationships with their parents, because that is something that grounds me.
Mm-hmm.
God grounds me, my mom grounds me, looking up at the sky grounds me, like those things that, like you said, like really, really ground you. And, and in my practices, in my self-love and self-care practices, my biggest thing is like, okay, God made me. I'm a piece of him. Even if it's the smallest piece of the world, I'm of him. That is kind of how stupid things. So even when I make stupid decisions, even when I mess up, even when I'm angry, even when I'm fighting, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. At the end of the day, I'm of him. And for me, my spirit, my soul is still connected to him. And that's where my worthiness is. That's where my perfection is. There is perfection in me. You can't see it, and it's not of this human realm, but that is where the perfection in me lies, and the worthiness and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, being able to connect back to that, for me, it's self, it's like me, I'm him, we're in this together. Like he made me, he is, omnipotent and all that good stuff. And I'm just even just being a small piece of that is like, okay, all right, I'm worthy, got it, and I can go back to it, and I can not fight in the club, So yes, that is a beautiful piece of things.
So what are some things that you give advice to in terms of like self-worth, like things that people can do to be taking care of themselves better and be in a better mental space?
Yeah. So of course, meditation. I'm a meditation pusher. But yeah, meditation, it's where you get aware of what's going on with you. We do body scans in meditation, where you literally start at the top of your head, you go to the tip of your toes, figure out where your densities are, where you're tense. That is the first place to start for me, because that's where I can find out what's wrong with me. People are like, oh, let me do self-care, let me do a bath. Okay, but baths may not be your thing. Oh, let me go take a vacation. That vacation may not have served you. If you went to Bali, and you probably may have needed to be in Miami, or vice versa, whatever it is, like, you've got to know what is going to serve you uniquely best. And so I think with self-care, the first step is getting to know you. And so a lot of that is for me, silence and meditation, and looking backwards, looking back, like, hey mom, when I was a kid, what did I like to do? Like, you don't change that much. We're actually just bigger versions of ourselves. So I like to look back and say, okay, like, mom, what did I like to do? Okay, so obviously I had an inclination towards that then. Let me go try it now. And just, that awareness piece, and then taking action on the awareness, going and doing that vacation in, an East Asian country, if that's where you're being called, doing that vacation in Arizona or Jamaica, whatever's calling you, and whatever is going to feel like home, or Utah. Hey, I mean, Kanye was in Wyoming. So,
dude, yeah, he loves it.
That's
Cody.
where he was called. Yeah. So yeah, so whatever it is, but he, I'm sure, had to get in touch with a part of himself to realize that that's where he wanted to be, instead of, because he could be anywhere. He literally could have been anywhere, and he chose Wyoming. So, you got to get some self-awareness around that. And I think it's through silence.
So when you're meditating, you're just totally silent. Are you trying to like pull thoughts out of your brain and just have like an emptiness there? Or are you trying to focus your thoughts on specific things? Like, how are you guiding that practice?
So I started my meditation practice at a temple in Georgia called Drepung Losling. When we first walked in, I thought the same thing. I was going to be in there like fighting my thoughts. And honestly, I was. I was in there and I was like literally visualizing my hand, pushing my thoughts to left and right. And along my journey with Buddhism and meditation and just going back to the temple a few times, I realized that it's not that at all. It's actually accepting your thoughts. So it's allowing them to be and you accepting them, having compassion for them and not attaching to them. So a thought comes up. I like to say they're clouds or balloons. The thought comes up, you're aware of it. Okay, I see that I'm thinking about, I'm worried about my daughter's, test results because I want her getting into a good college one day. So I'm worried about her test results. Okay, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to have compassion for it. I am not a bad mom for worrying about that. And I'm not a bad mom for letting it affect me. It's okay. And then I let it go because guess what? There's another thought right behind it. So it's really just not attaching to those thoughts. It's allowing them to be what they are, accepting them and loving yourself regardless of what's in the thought. I mean, the thought could literally be kick that cat over there. And you still, it's weird. So you're like, why would I be thinking about kicking the cat? That's rude. I love cats. I'm a horrible person. Not sure why that came up. Thank you, thought. Thank you. Goodbye. And allowing it to go on.
Processing. I'm just kind of like thinking a little bit externally about why am I thinking that?
Right.
Moving on and letting it run its course.
Yeah. You could literally think the most evil thing in the world. I've had some really weird thoughts come up in my head. Like, that is so mean. Why would I think that? And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna let it go. And that's what it's about because we have over 10,000 thoughts a day. Can you imagine if we attach to every thought? And if you really think about it, our thoughts control our actions and our behavior. So if you're allowing, and that's the thing, when you sit down in meditation, you start to see what you're thinking about. You're like, geez, this is the place that I'm acting from? Yeah. Like, I am really insecure today. This is how I've been acting. It's probably why I was lashing out at my mom for asking me how my day was. If teenagers would meditate, it'd be amazing, but they're not going to probably. So we'll stick with us, and we can be more aware, of course, for them.
Yeah, it's no wonder we're all a little bit crazy with all the thoughts going through our head.
So many. And they're exhausting. Like when you really sit there and sit with them, you're like, this is literally what I do all day. And it's unconscious, of course, when you're using your consciousness on other things, but in terms of the one pointedness and the focus, we use our breath to focus so that we're not attaching to those thoughts. So the goal is, of course, that Siddhartha Buddha, real enlightenment under the tree where you have no thoughts. Of course, that's the goal. But until you get there, some people use crystals. So like this is an amethyst. They'll hold it in their hand and focus on the texture of the amethyst. But it's just it's training your mind. It's mind training, honestly, is what meditation is. You're training your mind so that you can have control over it, and then so your mind doesn't control you.
Yeah, that's powerful. So you spent some time on reality television. How did that change your life?
It led me here.
Did you like that time?
In the moment, it seemed fun. It never felt like me. It always felt like I was pretending whenever I would have to do it. It just didn't feel like me. But was it fun? Yeah, it was fun. We get to travel. We got to meet celebrities. We got to go to really cool studios. And, we had a lot of fun with the external part of it, the things that came with it. But the actual filming was always nerve-wracking for me.
Did you feel super like it was super staged and you couldn't be your authentic self? Or were you just trying to be your authentic self while that was happening? Like, how did that work?
Right. So I don't even think I ever felt forced to not be my authentic self. And I never felt that it was staged. I honestly, after filming the first couple of times, Twitter told me that I can't be my authentic self. And Twitter told me that I need to do my hair in a different way. Twitter told me I need to change the way I do my makeup, so it was really social media that formed the way I showed up in reality TV after that first season.
So because everyone has an opinion. To that? So you kind of take in their opinions. Did you change according to what people were saying? Like, oh, I am going to do my makeup a different way. I am going to.
Yeah, I learned how to do my makeup better, and I learned how to do my hair, and I stopped wearing my natural hair as much. I responded because at the end of the day, not that I wasn't on the show for the first, few years. I was just kind of just there with my sister and doing little things. But even in that, people would talk so much crap about me. They'd like, Portia always has her hair and makeup so cute, and Lauren always looks scruffy. I'm like, first of all, Lauren's working, she's running a company. And second of all, Lauren just doesn't care. I just didn't care that much. I wasn't one of those people that walked around caring that much what I looked like. So yeah, I had to care a lot more about what I looked like. And I think those years of caring so much what I looked like pulled me away from caring about where I was headed.
Mm-hmm.
So, no one told me not to be me, but I realized after a few years in conditioning, it's what we all experience our whole lives. Conditioning, I realized that being me was probably going to be boring, and looking like me is probably not going to be received well. So just the conditioning of it. No one ever had to say any of these things to me. Honestly, no one ever said probably a word to me. It was just the conditioning of hearing other people's opinions and responses and me taking it on, and now I don't care.
How was that for you mentally? Like, did you feel like depression or anxiety coming from that negative feedback, or?
No, in the moment it felt like they were right and I was wrong. So it was like,
Really?
oh shoot, I have to change. It didn't feel anxious in the moment. It wasn't until I had the disillusionment that I felt anxious, because I was like, oh my gosh, like this whole time I've been doing things that aren't me. I've been operating in a way that doesn't feel authentic at all because other people said so. So that was more so the moment where I had the angst, and I was incredibly upset and disillusioned,
What brought that moment on? Like, what
up.
made it so that you were, hey, this isn't me? Like, did you have like this like point that you came to where everything changed, or?
Yeah, definitely. I've been in therapy since I was like 10 on and off, and I probably more recently after 18. And my therapist sent me to Drepung Losseling. So that was a big eye opener for me when he sent me to the temple and just heard the teachings of, Buddhists, and it didn't go against my faith, at the time. So that was beautiful that I could go to church and go to the Buddhist temple, because it wasn't that sort of religion. And so that was beautiful to be able to learn from them and feel comfortable learning from them as well. So that was, I'll say that opened my mind. And then eventually it led me to get a spiritual counselor. And it was in sessions with her that I was given permission. And so the permission, like, I think one day I was like, no, but I'm on reality TV. I have to do this. And she was like, no, you don't. I was like, yes, I do. I'm in reality TV. I have to do this. I don't know what I was talking about. She was like, no, you don't. And I was like, well, I have to work my job. I can't, what am I going to do? Like, I can't do anything other than this right now. I'm running this company. I'm making the most money. I'm making a lot of money running this company. I have to do this. She's like, also, no, you don't. And so when I was given permission to feel like I didn't have to do all these things that I had made up in my mind, all these limiting beliefs, I was like, well, what would I do? She was like, what? Well, I think she asked me, what would you do if you didn't have all these, limitations on you? I was like, I'd be a yoga teacher. She was like, okay, do that.
Yeah.
I was like, well, wait. Like, when I say I was literally in there for, I think our sessions were like maybe 6 months long, and every session I was sitting there like, are you sure I can do that? She was like, it's your life. I don't care if you do whatever you want. Like, why are you stopping yourself from being the you that you want to be? And it was me stopping me. It was no one else stopping me. It was me. And, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make enough money. She's like, I'm pretty sure you can make enough money to take care of you and Bailey. And I was like, yeah, but I won't be rich. Why do you have to be rich? It's like, oh yeah, like I don't have to just push for what everyone else wants. I really can just live my life and, make a bigger impact doing something else. And so when I'm like, well, how am I going to do good if I don't have any money? She's like, you don't have to have money to do good. Just go do good. Like, it was just crazy how and all she had to do was sit there and say, no, you don't have to do that either. And I'll say permission was probably the biggest thing for me. And that's why I'm actually putting out a newsletter next week called the Permission Slip, because I'm like, look, we need permission every week to realize that we don't have to live based on these limiting beliefs that we have built in our own minds.
Yeah, that's incredible. I like how you were thinking that you had to do all these things and you didn't give yourself a choice, and your own mind was like limiting your life. We do that a lot to ourselves where we're like our own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah. And social media doesn't help.
No.
Yeah.
It's
comparison. And so, that doesn't help either. Cause I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know I had to cut her sandwiches into hearts. What kind of mother am I? And then I'll like get there and I'll be like cutting the sandwich into a heart. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. Cut it into a square and let's go. Get your bags. Like, but for that first hour after seeing this woman cut her sandwiches into hearts and her daughter looked so happy, I do feel like a bad mom, and I'm just like, I don't have to do this.
I mean, you
I
don't
need
even do
permission not to be
triangles?
perfect.
I'm just teasing.
I mean, like every now and then I'll hit her with like a diagonal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a diagonal. But
I
like for
like
me,
that.
mostly it's like I get the right. Yeah. But normally I get the big knife and I'm like square, square, boom. And she literally doesn't care. I'll get her like the princess noodles for the pasta though. She likes that.
Yeah. Well,
So
I don't even know what those
yeah.
are, but I'm excited that she likes it.
She loves it. They're very cute. Little princess noodle pasta.
So got some funny questions for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite TV show?
Ooh, right now, Grownish.
Grownish. Okay, I haven't seen it.
It's so
What do you
good.
love? What do you love
It's
about
so
it?
good. I love that it's a bunch of college students and they are living their life the way college should be, the way I didn't do it. They're doing their schoolwork, they're making mistakes and it's okay, and they're friends. And I don't know, it's just kind of my ideal college life is what it is. And so
Awesome.
I'm reliving my college days.
What do you usually eat for breakfast?
Ooh, one of those square peanut butter jam sandwiches. Sometimes I'll just make two and eat one on the way to school.
Are we talking peanut butter and jelly?
Well,
Just
I'm
peanut
sorry, it's
butter.
sun butter and jelly. Yes. Peanut butter jelly.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of jelly?
Yeah. Okay, you can hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you. Nope. What kind of jelly do you like on it?
Hello? Oh, sorry. I like grape jelly. Grape jelly and sun butter is what I make for her. And then sometimes I'll just make another one while I'm making hers in the morning. And that's my breakfast.
Man, when I haven't had peanut butter and jelly for a while and I have one, it's just unbelievable how good it is. You're like, yeah, whoever invented this was really onto something. There's a reason why it stuck around.
Yeah, we're still making them every day.
Yep. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, what is it? Oh, I don't know. Lion King.
Lion King. That's a good one.
Yeah, still my favorite. Lion King, Step Brothers as an adult, but Lion King is just it's never gonna go away. It's my favorite. But Step Brothers as an adult.
Step Brothers is good. Have you ever seen Inglourious Bastards?
No, I haven't.
That's one of my favorite movies. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie of World War II. It's so funny, but it's also like great action in it. It's incredible. Tarantino. And then one of my other favorite ones. Have you seen Get Out?
No.
Oh my gosh. Get Out is incredible. It's like a thriller.
Oh, horror. Get Out. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The connection said Get It Out. It was like a thing in the middle. Yes, I've seen Get Out. I love Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out.
So
That's
good.
One of my all-time favorites. So
creepy and great.
I like creepy sometimes. So yeah.
I love a good murder mystery. If nobody died in it, I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah. So, well, thanks a bunch for coming on the podcast and kind of just sharing a little bit about your life and your daddy issues and being vulnerable with that. And hopefully we can all learn a little bit from that. And, I loved hearing about your kind of, your growth in your yoga and meditation and just kind of like owning your own mind and kind of giving yourself permission to be free and kind of do what, makes you happiest. And I don't know, it's kind of shaped a lot, giving me some stuff to think about. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, where can they find you? What can they, how can they learn more?
Absolutely. I'm at Low D Will on Instagram, and link in bio, all of the links to anywhere you can find me, whether I'm doing a class or a meditation circle, it's all in my bit.ly.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon with that yoga Nidra.
Yeah, we're going to get some of your yoga Nidra on our page. So I'm excited for people to try that out. Awesome.
Yes, you guys can sleep as good as I am. I do.